Many of us find ourselves recycling things that we know. We sleep on the same side of the bed, wear our favourite jeans until they're completely falling apart. But the same shouldn't be said for our teaching practice. As technology continues to grow and become a much more prevalent part of our world, many of us as teachers are sidestepping the responsibility of its use, and in some cases ignoring it altogether. This has got to stop. Technology has a place in our classrooms and can be used to enhance our learning. Technology and access to it are becoming such a common part of our lives. Every one of us at some point during the day is in touch with technology. Whether it be using our iPhones to wake up in the morning or scrolling through Facebook to find out what's happening on the weekend. We're all in constant communication and are always connected in one way or another. So why should we expect any different from our students? Whilst we had the luxury of growing up without the hassles of the computer age and found joys in reading the newspaper, the new generation, the students that we are teaching, have grown up using technology. We should no longer close our eyes and block our ears to this valuable resource. But how do we harness the great beast that is technology in such a way that it becomes advantageous and not simply another distraction or excuse? I'm always intrigued when walking into classrooms these days at the amount of technology on display. We have smartphones, everythings, interactive whiteboards, iPads that speak to the projector from the other side of the room. The possibilities given by having so much power at one's fingertips is incredible. But I'm not that tech savvy. Sure, I can dial on my smartphone or ask Siri directions, but when it comes to all that fandangle stuff, leave it up to the kiddies, I say. This, I lament, however, is not the way of the... We need to keep up with this ever-changing movement and use it to our advantage. We must remember that this issue is not new, nor is it centrally located. Looking at articles that date back to the early 2000s from all over the world, this issue was in the headlines. As a 13-year-old student walking into Year 7 in 2001, I was in one of 2 classes that offered the use of computers in all subjects. We were set up in a classroom at the back of the school and looked upon as those kids, the smartasses. Whilst these were large and dinosaur-like devices, we felt at an advantage, as most of what we needed was just a finger click away. As time has worn on, the devices have become smaller and smaller, so has the separation. No longer are those with devices looked upon as other. Now those without are seen to be at a disadvantage. So what are some of the solutions or programs that we can... So what can we do as the next generation of teaching staff to keep up with technological changes and use technology and its easy access to our advantage? Well, first of all, what are the advantages that we're looking for? Number 1, differentiated instruction. It's one of those new buzzwords. You know, the ones we pop into our resumes to look great. But what is it really, and how can technology enable a differentiated classroom? According to Smith and Throne, it is defined as a broad framework that offers multiple approaches to meeting learners' needs. So, if we need to change up our instruction to meet all sorts of needs, how can technology enable us to do that? An article released on the 28th of January of this year by Sarah Sparks for Education Week looks at this issue. She goes on to speak of the advantages of real-time feedback. By being able to keep tabs on students in real time, we're able to reset our expectations and create a program that enables all students at the same time. We're able to create a myriad of experiences that are personalised onto each student's device. Number 2, enhancing student engagement. Shell, Lakoff and Mazur, whilst referring to higher education, make the argument that common teaching practice simply calls for any questions. It's outdated and not useful. They argue that by bringing in technologies that enable students to provide instant feedback and ask questions or research further, that student engagement will be at a much higher level. Whilst they're referring to higher education, we can bring this practice into any level of schooling by providing a way of proffering feedback and assisting understanding students are much more likely to be engaged with the subject matter and therefore getting more out of their experiences at school. Well, so I could go on and on about the advantage. I'm going to leave it there. We're running out of time and I'll provide some more resources at the end of this presentation. Let's now look at some of the solutions to the problem and what programs, ideas and organisations are out there to help us. In his article, King highlights the idea that in order to be able to integrate technology into the curriculum, first there needs to be an understanding of how it's worked by those teaching the curriculum. The obvious answer here is to teach the teachers. Put money into PD programs that enable staff to have a decent understanding and ability to make the best use of the technology. We must become adept at using the devices and harnessing the power that they offer by encouraging staff to assist one another or by creating, as King did in his school, teams of students and teachers to become tech assistants. The Department of Education and Training here in Victoria offers policies around the use of technology in our classrooms and highlights the importance of its safe and effective use. You can have a look at the website on the screen now for a copy of the policy. The Victorian Curriculum and Assessment Authority, or VICA as we know it, provide an information and communications technology curriculum from foundation level to level 10. This can be viewed at the website on your screen now. However, the use of technology across the curriculum doesn't stop there. By making a random selection on English Level 7, I'm able to find the following standard. Understand the way language evolves to reflect a changing world, particularly in response to the use of new technology for presenting text and communicating. If I was to continue throughout all of the other disciplines, I'd be able to find reference to the use and the understanding of technology. We simply must be, as teachers, embracing the world around us and making use of the technology that goes along with this. There is, however, a downside. So I've covered the advantages of the uses of technology and how it's embedded into the curriculum. I must, however, not neglect the possible downfalls. One potential downfall of using technology candidly in the classroom is the access to the ever-growing internet that students will have, which of course hosts a range of things that we don't really want to encourage our students to use, including sites created for hateful purposes or holding inappropriate subject matter. Do not fear, however, as there are solutions to even these problems. The first being, you can create a responsible use policy that outlines a code of ethics that the students should follow when using these technologies. This can then be monitored and hold consequences for behaviour outside of this realm. The second possible outcome are firewalls created which are able to filter information at the school's discretion. A site such as Alta Vista, which you can see on your screen now, has the ability to add password-protected firewalls that filter out what you deem as a school to be inappropriate content. Another potential pitfall is the prevalence of cyberbullying. Having access to technology at most times of the day may increase the potential for this type of behaviour. Many schools nowadays are beginning to include cyberbullying in their policies and their code of conduct. There are also many helpful websites that are good when trying to combat this issue. Please follow the link for a presentation on cyberbullying about this issue that I completed in 2014. Books such as Peterson's A Guide to Using Technology in the Classroom can be a great resource for teaching staff. It gives good outlines of the expectations and the use of technology, as well as ideas of lesson plans and a range of many different resources, both online and otherwise, that can be used by you in the classroom. Specifically have a look at pages 28 to 30 for a list of resources. Another good resources for you to have a look at comes from teachhub.com. They offer 12 easy ways to use technology in the classroom. This is a great list as it gives you easy ideas that are simple to implement at the click of a button. You can use the site that I've got on the screen just now to have a look at this resource. There are so many more of these sites, and hopefully some of them will prove useful to you in your practice. I've included just 2 here for your perusal. If you find more, then please feel free to share them around. Thank you so much for your attention today. I hope that this little presentation has given you some more insight into why we as teachers need to embrace this new technology and bring it into our classrooms here and around the world. So keep up with the kids and get tech savvy today. future